deep inside yourself. Tell me exactly what you see.
I see a lot, and I see X-Men becoming X-women.
Oh, focus on the past.
I can see that you don't like this idea.
Really?
I do.
Oh, gee.
You don't want to talk about that idea, do you?
Gee.
You don't like that idea. It's okay.
Gee.
X-women.
Gee.
I see that you want to keep it as X-men.
Gee.
Do you want to talk about this? I don't think you want to talk about this.
Gee.
It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up.
X-Men Dark Phoenix, or if you can call it X-Men, well, I guess it's not called X-Men, that just is only called Dark Phoenix. Okay, Dark Phoenix is a new movie directed by Simon Kinberg, and this is his first time directing this movie. And this movie has the same cast. It has Michael Fassbender, it has Jennifer Lawrence and James McAvoy returning as their roles, and Nicholas Hoult returns as well, and they have Boo Boo Stewart who plays Nightcrawler. So everyone's back in this film, and this film is a sequel to X-Men Apocalypse, and our heroes done a mission in space, but then while they was doing their mission, a strange cloud attached itself onto Jean Grey, and then Jean Grey started losing her powers and started losing her mind, and we have the movie Dark Phoenix. So going into this movie, I was hoping I would get at least a movie that could give this franchise, a good end. It didn't have to be great. It didn't have to be like Endgame and all that. It didn't have to be all that. It just had to end on a good note, I didn't know what to say, because the first 5 minutes, I lost my shit. I felt like they didn't really give a care about the characters. They didn't give a shit about none of the writing and none of the character development, and just nothing in this movie in general. Just the CGI, the writing, the character development, the performances, they all declined. There isn't a memorable performance in this movie. If you can go back to each X-Men movie, there is always that one moment in the X-Men movies where you can always remember. I forgot the actress's name. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to go by Sansa Stark because I've been watching Game of Thrones a lot, so I just see her as Sansa Stark. Sansa Stark, she plays the character Jean Grey in this movie, and she has this, and I just have a huge issue with the writing of her character, because the way she got her powers totally negates the events of Apocalypse, and that doesn't make sense. And I'm thinking to myself, the writers knew the events that transpired in the other films. This movie kind of made their characters opposite of what their characters were in their last film. The movie tried so hard to give this personal drama story revolving around the X-Men, dealing with their personal issue, having this moral code about revolving around Professor Xavier. I felt like this movie was two movies in one, where one movie they focus on Jean Grey, the execution of her powers, her meeting her breaking point. And then the second movie is when this Jessica Chastain's character, I'm not going to go in further details. All I got to say is I am so frustrated with the writing revolving around Jessica Chastain's character. So many questions I was asking myself in this movie revolving around Jessica Chastain's character. I'm like, okay, who is she? Where's she from? What race is she? Why is she here? And that's where there's a disconnect with me, because they try so hard to make her character connect with Jean Grey's character, and it was a disconnect with me because I didn't personally give a shit about Jessica Chastain's character, because I didn't know who she was. I didn't really know her true motive. There's a motive she's mentioned in this movie, but then she completely negates that motive by doing something completely opposite from her motive, but with no explanation. When it finally focused on Jean Grey, that's when it got a little interesting, but still the payoff didn't deliver at all. I had more fun watching X-Men Last Stand than I did watching this movie. I was bored out my mind, and I just cannot believe me saying that for a last film of the X-Men franchise. And I felt some type of way about it. And even though I had low expectations, I felt like they weren't even trying. You could say that I shouldn't be so hard on a director of this movie. This is his first time directing, and some of the action sequences in this movie he definitely needs more work on. But still, for a last movie that's considered the end of the franchise, you at least gotta come up with something. Despite you being a first-time director, there's still, expectations you still gotta meet at least. At least my expectation from this film was ended on a good note, and it didn't. I just knew what kind of movie I was getting myself into because they just completely messed up the writing with Jean Grey, they messed up the writing with Professor Xavier, and they messed up a character arc with Kurt Wagner. And those of you who know Kurt Wagner from the comic books, he goes against his true character by killing a bunch of folks. The shift in tone didn't make sense. It was abrupt. And I'm just like... The writing was bad to the core. This movie is going to get George Clooney back next. This movie was a disgrace, and I can't believe I'm saying this. And that's my review of X-Men Dark Phoenix. I don't know for sure if Dark Phoenix is the worst movie in the X-Men franchise. I need to watch X-Men Origins first to really get my answer. I'll see you guys soon. If you like everything you see and you agree, subscribe to my channel and join me in the Batman family. I'll have more Batman-tastic reviews in the way. You have been warned. Till then, ciao.